Hi everybody, today we're going to have a little bit of fun. We're going to talk about some good old-fashioned British insults. Now these insults are the type that you'd use with your friends and your family, not something really nasty that's going to get you into trouble, a smack in the gob, or if you're on YouTube, get cancelled. In Britain we don't always say to somebody you're an idiot. We may say you're an idiot, but we tend to be a little bit more subtle about the way we say things to people. We may say that, you're not a full shilling, you are you? Or you're a muppet, and things like that. So let's get started then. So a full shilling. When would you say that to somebody? You'd say that to somebody who you thought had done something really stupid. Oh, they're not the brightest person that you know. You know, they're constantly saying stupid things or doing stupid things. That's when you'd say, you're not a full shilling, you are you, mate? And I imagine that the majority of people in the UK, in Britain, have been told that once or twice in their life. I certainly have. You're a muppet. Well, we all know what muppets are. They're the dolls on the kiddies programme, the Muppets. And it's a bit like saying you've got no sense of your own. Somebody's got the hand up inside you and working your brain, working your mouth. Just a basic, you're absolute muppet, mate. You're an idiot. And once again, it's a bit of a friendly jibe. It's not a what you'd call a nasty one. Now, one of the insults was made very famous by a UK TV programme, Only Fools and Horses, and that's you plonker, or just plonker. And you say this to somebody who's done something silly, turn left instead of turn right. Turn the hot tap on instead of the cold tap and burnt the hands, and just silly little things that some people do. You'd call them a plonker. Numpty, you're a numpty. Once again, you're saying to somebody, you're not very bright, are you? Or that were a bloody stupid thing to do. Trips over something, leaves something behind. Oh, God, I've left my phone in the house, I'm going to have to go and fetch it. You bloody numpty. I've come to the pub and I forgot my money. You numpty. I think you'd say a bit more than that to somebody though about that, wouldn't you? Hey? You silly sausage. Or just, you're a sausage. Now, where this comes from, I've got no idea, calling somebody a sausage. But it's a fairly common insult. It gets bandied around quite a bit. And if you watch YouTube videos, especially the auditing ones, you'll see people getting called sausages. So it's usually the police that get called a sausage. Why? To be honest, I ain't got a jar of glue. I've no idea at all. None at all. You cheeky git. Now then, that's more like... I've only got enough for a couple of pints, so you're going to buy me a couple of pints. Oh, you cheeky git. Oh, gives a fag, mate, I ain't got none. You cheeky git. Somebody who's like trying to scrounge off you, and you'd call them a cheeky git for doing it, And it is a fairly common, or in fact it's a very bloody common phrase around these parts. Oh, yeah, cheeky git. Right, we're going to come on to some of my favourites now. You couldn't organise a piss-up in a brewery. In other words, this is somebody who's useless. They can't do anything. They can't get anything right, And I imagine that majority of people can organise a piss-up if you're in a brewery. And this insult is for people that can't even manage that, the simplest of things. You can't organise a piss-up in a brewery. I don't know. One of my favourites, that. Another of my favourites, the lights are on, but there's nobody in. You know, in other words, you're walking around, you're breathing, you're talking, but there's nothing in here, you know. The lights are on, you're moving around and everything, but there's nothing in here working. So it's, you know, it's quite a good insult actually. The lights are on, but there's nobody in. Something quite similar is you're not the sharpest tool in the box, are you? You know, in other words, they're a bit dull, they're a bit dim, they're not very bright, they're not very clever. The lights are on, but there's nobody in. These kind of comments get bandied around quite a bit. And if you're in a work environment, especially if you're in a blue collar type job rather than a white collar type job, you know, you're a builder or something like that, you're going to hear these comments all the time, especially if you're new on the job. You'll find that some of the older hands are really taking the Michael out of you. You've got the common sense of a traffic cone. It's not one I use very often. I'd rather say you've got the IQ of a hole in the donut, or a hole in a donut. In other words, you've got no brains at all. You're as thick as a pudding. Ah, there's another one, isn't it? You're as thick as a pudding. But yeah, one of my favourite ones has got the IQ of a hole in a donut. The other one, or one of the others that I like, of somebody that keeps talking and absolutely talking rubbish all the time, is, you're a right wobble gob you are, aren't you? You know, they won't shut up, they're talking rubbish all the time. You're a wobble gob. You're about as useful as a chocolate teapot, or you're as useful as a chocolate fire guard. Because we all know that if you heat chocolate up, all it's going to do is melt. So if you got a chocolate fire guard, it ain't a fire guard very long if the fire's lit. Probably not a fire guard for very long if I'm around, because if it's chocolate, I'm going to eat the bugger. But yeah, about as much good as a chocolate fire guard. A very, very common phrase here in good old Britain. You've got a face like a slapped arse. Somebody that's looking miserable, not very happy with life, really pissed off, you know, walking around like, what's up with you, mate? You got a face like a slapped arse. Something you'd say to your mate, you know, that's looking really down in the dumps. Somebody who's not on top form. Somebody who's looking really fed up. You'd say to him, what's up, mate? You got a face like a slapped arse. You were all right yesterday, why are you like that today? Fairly common expression, especially around this neck of the woods where I live. You're away with the fairies. Always a good one, this one. This is for people that come up with really stupid ideas, you know, that haven't got the common sense to work out that something just ain't going to work. Yeah. And I've been there myself. I've been away with the fairies. It's either that or somebody that's in a bit of a daydream, you know. Come on, mate, come on, get a grip, you're away with the fairies there. Oh, sorry, mate, I was just daydreaming, or, you know. They've either got no idea, they're coming up with a stupid idea, or they're daydreaming, just sat around like I do sometimes. I'm quite often away with the bloody fairies, I'll tell you. You're about as much use as a waterproof tea bag. Now, everybody in the UK knows what a tea bag is. I think that in some parts of the world people don't know. And it's a little bag that you put your tea in, you put it in your cup, you fill your cup full of hot water, and the tea comes out. Now, if the bag's waterproof, it ain't gonna work. So, you know, you're about as useful as a waterproof tea bag. One that my daughter calls me on a regular basis, Dad, you're a spoon. Now, yeah, she's insulting me, but it's a funny insult. It's usually when I've done something daft or I say something daft. But I'll be honest, I love taking the mickey out of my kids. I wind them up all the time, and when I do it, that's what I get called. I get called a pillock, a plonker, the favourite one is Dad, you're a knob, or you're a spoon. So I get called lots of names for winding the kids up. But hey, that's what life's about, and that's why you have kids. So you can wind them up and tease them. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this quick video, giving you some insight into the fantastic insults that you can call people. I will come out with some more very shortly, different types of insults. But if you've enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up, please share, please subscribe. The next video that comes up may be one that you'll enjoy. Please watch that. Okay, I'll see you very soon. Bye everybody.